Okay then, so given that Matt and his merry mob have now made two attempts to get me booted off YouTube, this may turn out to be my swan song, but I can't just keep on pretending that I'm not, well, basically horrified by what's going on YouTube in terms of just stupid gambling, which must be intentional because I think some of these guys are pretty thick, but I don't think most of them are. So it has to be intentional. It has to be part of a business plan, and it's a business plan that's only good for these guys. It's certainly not good for their breathless fans in their hundreds of thousands. But one thing I do need to say is that I have never and never will suggested that pattern betting is the silver bullet, the be all and end all, the holy grail, the whatever in terms of betting. What I am trying to say to my enormous audience, which sometimes runs into several dozen, what I am trying to say is that if you don't go into these games with the kind of resources that Vegas Matt has, along with most of his imitators, including Bobby Rivas and I don't know, less so, I guess. Well, Mr. Handpay certainly has tons of dosh. There are others that have plenty of money behind them, but they never, ever try to win. They behave like Vegas Matt. They bet stupidly, recklessly, irresponsibly, and as if money is going out of style. And of course, for them, it is. But anyway, I hope I made my point to YouTube. I doubt that they'll pay any attention. I dare say there'll be another copyright strike from Vegas Matt. And you know what? I don't care. I'll end up with a video that I can put out to as many people as want to see it without it actually being promoted online. So let's take it from there anyway. Going down. First hand. Well, we can see there that in the end, Algie made $38 or £37.50 actually. Matt made 1,750. Very nice start for him. And we go to the next one. Please remember, pattern betting, Algie only ever bets on the left hand, the first base bets. These extra bets are dumb. And this time, as you will see with the Excel analysis that follows this, cost him money. Cost him a bunch of money that he could have saved if he'd only bet sensibly. But hey, that's not his job, is it? His job is to bet like a prat, entertain loads of people in the peanut gallery, the masses, bread and circuses, all that crap. And certainly he is not permitted to show people how to make money at tilted, negative expectation table games. So, Algie lost 50, Matt lost 500. So this is white on red, shows that that's Algie's worst situation. 1250 in the hole. Oh my God. Algie pushed that one. Just the left-hand bets. Matt pushed as well, of course. Number 4. Algie made 300 because it was a blackjack on a $200 bet. Matt made 1,200 because it was an $800 bet. So goody. I think it was an $800 bet. Wait a minute. Oh yeah, the reason that I hesitated there was because it was weird. He did 300 over here, which made him 450. He did 500 over here, which made him 750. So that added up to 1,200. I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, what? But anyway, that's the explanation. So on we go. Number 5, Algie lost 25. Matt lost 800. Well, you can see exactly what the story is. I mean, it's all there for you. Sort of left-hand side is Algie, right-hand side is Matt. And I don't need to do a constant running commentary, I don't think. You're a smart bunch out there. You know the story. So there were some mean ones here. There were some, but that's the game. That's how it always is. Algie doesn't bet nearly as much as Matt, so that explains the smaller wins. But the main thing is keep winning. So Algie got his butt kicked for $25. Oh shit! Matt made a push. Well, you can read it for yourselves. Okay, biggie for Matt and for Algie actually, because obviously it's there was no bet over here on the left hand side, so everything happened on that becomes obviously when there's nothing here on the left, then the right hand bet becomes the bet. So Algie made 400, Matt made 4,000, took him to 5,350, and this is the point where you start thinking, wait a minute. If these guys were in the business of making money at table games, this is the point where they'd say, "Okay, hey, this is great. With 5,350 ahead, let's chill for a bit. Let's try to walk away with a win." No, they don't do that. There we are. The last hand. Algie made 638 on 1688, as you can see. That's a 38% win-loss percent. And this is how you need to be able to judge your success or failure. Obviously, the first way you do it is if you've got no chips left, then you're definitely in trouble. If you're in debt, then you're definitely in trouble. If you've got chips in front of you, then that's good. We all know that. That's pretty much obvious, I think, even to the dumbest peanuts in the gallery. So 638 over 1688 action is 38%. Matt made 350 on 10 times as much action, which is a 2.1% win. And, that's basically the end of the situation here. I mean, I'm not suggesting that this is definitive, that every single one of Matt's future adventures in blackjack or baccarat that I decide to track, assuming that YouTube doesn't take me off the channel and boot me off the platform with Vegas Matt baying for my blood, but assuming that I'm allowed to continue doing this, and I think I should be, because all I'm doing is I'm saying, hey, mate, you're bloody screwing around here. You're doing stuff that might be great for you and your bank balance, but it's crap for the people who look up to you and copy you and are encouraged by you to go into casinos or to bet online or to put their money one way or another in jeopardy. I mean, you don't give a shit about them. All you care about is how much money you can make. And if you, Matt, were to look around you in these casinos that you spend so much time in, just take a look around you, walk around, pay a bit of attention, and you'll see the number of people who are clearly out of their depth, being badly hurt by gambling. And the worst problem, the very worst thing, is that a lot of those people are betting with money that isn't all theirs, and in some cases, none of it's theirs. But they steal money from their bosses. They take money out of the family bank account without telling their dependents. They use up the college fund. They skip mortgage payments and car payments and so on in order to feed their habit. And you are out there every day promoting this particular way of hurting yourself and hurting your family. And apparently, well, obviously, you don't care about the consequences of what you're doing. And that's why I think YouTube needs to say, all right, it's fair for this guy and his operation and his way of doing things, in common with other people who I also paid close attention to, like John Sirasani and DJN Dalt and so on. I stopped bothering with Mr. Handpay because he was quite clearly cherry picking the stuff that he put up on his channel, and that's no good. You don't cherry pick, or at least as far as I know you don't, because you're doing it every day and it's in chronological order, and you're easier to track. It's the same with DJN Dalt. I mean, he's been getting his ass kicked now for weeks on end, but at least you always know that these things are coming up in chronological order. And if he were cherry picking like Mr. Handjob, then he would certainly hold back on some of the losing sessions and leave us thinking that he's a great guy. I mean, you know, Matt, you're at the top of the tree. You're the king of the shills, the barker in chief, the top tout. Your job is promoting gambling and luring lambs to slaughter. And every time you say that isn't so, well, you make a liar out of yourself. I'm sorry, but that's how it is. All right, then. So I'm going to be tracking Vegas Matt's table game action a bit more aggressively for the next, however long it takes before I get completely fed up. Because I think he sets an absolutely terrible example, a really, really terrible example for his millions or million plus devoted admirers. And the fact that he's just doing his job as a very well rewarded shill, barker, frontman, tout for the casino biz is no consolation at all, and certainly no excuse. There's lots of people out there who love to say sort of very clever things like, well, of course, 18 bets doesn't mean anything. It's nothing. It's in the grand scheme of things, it's not even a drop in the bucket. And of course, the reality of casino table game play is that for most of us, our outings, our adventures, our forays are brief. Largely because what happens is that we go to the table with not enough money, and it doesn't take very many hands for us to lose it, to blow it. And that, of course, is how the casinos get built. They get built by having people come to the table with too little money, tired, frustrated, scared, drunk, all kinds of stupid things. Now, none of those things apply to Vegas Matt and his mob, but certainly they bet very badly. And the way they bet in such a way that months ago, it may even have been more than a year ago, I sent a quick note to them simply saying, you guys bet to lose. I mean, look at the way you behave. You bet to lose. And I got a very brief response from WBG, the smart one, I think, amongst that group. No, wait a minute. I better be careful here. He sounds the most erudite, the most kind of knowledgeable about gambling, but nobody pays any attention to him, quite clearly, because they still bet like prats and lose tons of money and seem to think it's fine. And of course, for them it is, because at the end of the day, they get all their money back from Moogle, the cash cow called Google. So, he was very adamant anyway. He said, no, we don't. But here we have the very first time I've adopted this new, rather more sort of forensic approach to what they do. The very first time, look at this. They get all the way up to 5,350 ahead, which is reflected down here. And then they throw it all away. 5,000 blown in the next 3 rounds. And they don't make any attempt to get that back. They don't do anything other than simply say, okay, all right, so we broke even and I don't really like this game. This was Vegas Matt when he did his little wrap-up. And more and more these days, he's actually sounding a little cheesed off with what happens to him at these games. And I don't know why he is, because he gets his money back. This is just an overhead for him. This is just, give the peanut gallery, the mob, the baying millions or whatever, a bit of entertainment, a circus, and at the end of the day, we'll collect our money in big bunches from the casinos, from merchandise, from Google, etc., etc. And none of that is illegal. I consider it to be immoral because I think that what YouTube and Vegas Math and all the others are doing is circumventing all of the kind of guardrails that were set up as far as advertising is concerned to protect vulnerable people from being confronted with advertising for gambling. And that's what this is. This is what Vegas Math is doing. What I'm doing certainly is paying attention to gambling and paying attention to people like Vegas Matt. But I am trying to say to people, if you bet the way these professional losers bet, you will lose your money. You have to tackle these games sensibly, soberly, with sufficient firepower to take you through the sort of the odd moments where everything goes shit-shaped, the volatility. There wasn't very much volatility in this particular case, all the way down to this. And then, of course, right at the very end, this is Vegas Matt's AV, his 2-bets AV, and this is Algie's 1-bet AV. But the point is, if you go to these games ill-equipped, without full knowledge of what's going on, and if you bet like Vegas Matt and Bobby Rivas and so on and so on and so on, you're going to get wrecked. I think that's one of Vegas Matt's terms. But he doesn't care because he's got a shitload of money behind him, which he doesn't want to use. He will bet in the hundreds of, well, certainly in 6 figures when he wants to sort of be extra flashy, extra kind of, I don't know, crazy. But he doesn't do it very often. I think he did it, he had his Shillionaire celebration in February of last year. So it's a year since he hit the million mark. And, he went a bit bonkers there. And one single bet saved the day for him. He put 100,000 down on Baccarat, and he got his money back on that. He got 95,000 back, and that put him in profit for the day by about, I don't know, 8 or 10,000, something like that. But just look at this. I mean, this is his performance all the way up there, and then, and here's pattern betting. Got all the way up to, well, you can see it over here because it's marked out, 888 ahead. And then because I have to follow, or Algie has to follow what Vegas Matt and all the other professional losers do, and I'm doing a tracking analysis like this, boom, down here. Now, next time I do a Vegas Matt analysis, I will roll over Algie. Algie will just start with the requisite next bet, which happens to be 400, and that's where we'll start next time. And something you need to pay attention to, I respectfully suggest, is Matt says he broke even. He didn't. He won 350. 2.1% of his total action. His total action was 16,550 up here, right? What have we got here? We've got 638 profit for Algie for pattern betting, and Algie's total action was 1/10 of Matt's. Okay, and so this win represents 38%, a win-loss percentage of 38% versus 2%. Now, if you struggle with numbers, I think you can probably still manage to accept that this number is better than that number, okay? And if you multiply this by 10, then you get a win of, to match his action. Multiply that by 10, and you get 6,380 profit compared to 350. Now, I don't know exactly what I need to do to make people pay attention. It's difficult because the audience that I'm stuck with is the vast majority of them are people who don't give a tinker's toss about the numbers, just don't care. They consider that gambling and losing at gambling is entertainment, excitement, thrills, all kinds of stuff that it really isn't. Because, throwing money away for something like this is it's just nuts. But hey, everybody's entitled to do what they want with their money, and that includes Vegas Matt. What he's not entitled to do is to pretend that his gambling is as real as it gets, because he cannot lose. I can, you can, Algie can, and this is how I'm going to do it from now on. And what I meant to do was to put a little thingamajigamy, a little screenshot in here so that we know exactly which session this is. So I'm going to stop myself here and correct my mistake. Okay then, so I've added what needed to be added, and my apologies for not putting it up sooner, but hey, I always catch my mistakes and fix them. That's what I'm in the business of doing. I don't think that Vegas Matt feels the same way about his screw-ups, because they are legion and they are never corrected, and he'll go on to his next session with absolutely no interest in recovering from the situation he got into here, basically, where he lost $5,000 in the last 3 rounds. And something to keep in mind, I think, also amongst all the other things that I talk about, is I'm always saying to you folks, look, don't spread out from a single bet. It's enough hard work to beat them with just one hand. So don't go to more hands than one. It just doesn't make sense. And here is Matt, God bless him, well, whatever, proving exactly what I'm talking about. VML means the left-hand bets, the first base bets, okay? So he won 1,500 there. His right hand or second bets, he lost 1,150 there. And he's likely to keep on saying, hey, it's great to spread, because what happens is, of course, you win twice as much. Well, what actually happens is you get your ass kicked. It's stupidity in the extreme to spread to more than one hand, but the casinos want you to do that, and Matt wants you to do what the casinos want you to do, so he will set a bad example to encourage you to be as stupid as he is when it comes to betting against these tilted table games. Yeah, so basically 5,350 was where he got to, all the way up there, and then he blew it, lost 5,000 in the last 3 rounds. It cost Algie 250 in those 3 rounds because the left-hand bet was a wash and or a push, and then a loss, and then a loss, and the next bet for Algie will be 400 when next we go to bat against Vegas Matt, and I fully expect him to sue me once again. He's hit me 4 times with copyright strikes, 3 in a row just recently, and one of them was for a video that I put up in 2024. I mean, what's going on with this guy and his team? It's just bizarre. I mean, if you put yourself under the spotlight and you pretend to be something special in the world of gambling, like as in the slogan that he has, my gambling is as real as it gets. I mean, Jesus, you've got to expect to be challenged. You've got to expect to be questioned. You've got to expect to be ridiculed. I expect that. I expect people to come back to me and say, well, it's too expensive. What you do is too expensive. I'm constantly demonstrating that it's not expensive at all. But hey, people pay no attention. And I'm not upset about it. I'm just, used to it, because I've been doing this online now. This year, it's 30 years since I first went online with a strategy that I call turnaround, which was basically exactly what this is. But there have been several improvements over the years. And once in a while, I'll get somebody saying to me, well, you changed the strategy. No, I didn't. I improved it. I enhanced it. I evolved it, because the whole idea about taking on the challenge of negative expectation is to evolve, improve, learn from your mistakes. Here is a guy, Vegas Matt, who never learns from his mistakes. He loves making them because the casinos want him to make them. That's what it's about. And that's why I said whenever the hell it was a long time ago, you guys bet to lose. And this one, this little 18 bet sample here is a perfect example of what I was talking about. So anyway, this may be my swan song. I might get another copyright hit from Vegas Matt, but I really don't care. And I think that when human beings get into the picture rather than bots, I think that any human being looking at what I'm doing here will say, hey, this is fair use. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. So, next time. Okay, so I just did what Vegas Matt often does and wandered off script. It's tough for us old farts, I tell you. Yeah, what I meant to do was to add Vegas Matt's ridiculous description that he has at the top of his channels. My gambling is as real as it gets. You see the reality of the wins and the losses of a true gambler. This is absolute bollocks. Absolute bollocks. The guy cannot lose. And a true gambler who bet the way that Matt does, Matt and his mob, would be out of business in no time. He'd be dead meat. Sorry, I have to keep stopping every so often because of my throat problem, which I got to tell you is nothing compared to what a lot of people of my generation have to go through, poor buggers. So I just sip my water and count my blessings, which are considerable. But anyway, now this whole business up here, absolute bollocks. A real gambler who bet the way he does would be toes up, belly up, tits up, crash and burn in no time. But I have noticed, and I'm very amused by the fact that right after I started calling Vegas Matt and the rest of them professional losers, all of a sudden he had an incredible run of six-figure wins at slot machines, sort of like all of them over 200,000. And that's a miracle, I mean, you have to have some sort of divine connection to be able to pull off a stunt like that, So he went from being $500,000 in the hole last fall into ending the year in profit. And now this year he's in profit. I think because his ego doesn't allow him to be called a professional loser. So he's going to do whatever it takes to make sure that when you look at the description at each new day on his channel, it will show a positive number. Yeah, so he's kind of like the guy in the White House. He will not admit to being a loser. He is a loser, of course, at gambling. Overall, definitely a winner. How he does it? Yeah. Well, that's between him and his conscience, I think. But next time. I say that a lot, don't I?